Hi, so my name is April Sasidor, and this is my Classical 200 midterm assignment. So, the god that I'll be talking about today is from the Philippine mythology. So, before Christianism was brought by the Spaniards to the Philippines, ancient Filipinos already have their own gods and goddesses, their own deities. However, now that Christianism is widely in the Philippines, Filipinos now believe in saints and God, and these deities are still believed by some indigenous Filipino tribes, and this is evident by their carvings that we call anito, which are the carvings of spirits and deities by indigenous Filipino tribes. So the Filipino mythology is led by Bathala, who is the creator of all things, the sky, the earth, and everything in it. In Greek mythology, she could be parallel to Zeus. So here are some examples of Philippine anitos. So these are the carvings, and the carvings are usually presented on that being on their knees, which is a representation of like a fetal fetus position. This is the most famous one and is still referred to by Ifugaos, which is one of the indigenous peoples in the Philippines, and this is called Bulol. This is their rice god. They pray for him for good harvest and abundant crops. So this is Batala's pantheon. As you can see, we have here first generation gods, including Batala himself, Amansinaya, Dimangan, Aidianale, Ulilang Kaluluwa, Galang Kaluluwa, Lakampati, Amihan, and Mapulot. We also have second generation gods and goddesses, um, Aniton, Aniton Tabu, Dumakulem, Anagulay, Lakambakod, Lakambini, Linga, and the third generation god and goddess, Dian, Masalanta, and Apulaki. So in Batala's pantheon, first and second generation gods and goddesses are believed to be um, up in the earth. They look after human beings up there, while the third generation god and goddess, which is Dian, Masalanta, and Apulaki, and other spirits, they are said to be roaming around the earth because their job is to look after human beings closely. So the goddess that I will be talking about is Dian Masalanta. She is the goddess of love, childbirth, peace, and protection of lovers. Sacrifices are offered to her to ensure safe conception or conception, successful pregnancies, good weather, protection from calamities, earthquakes, floods, and storms, which is very ironic because Filipinos see her as a young girl with golden brown skin, long black hair, wearing a white dress, like very innocent. And it's ironic that she is goddess of conception and lovers. Um, she's also personified as someone who wears flowers, um, brings flowers in her hands, or use it as like a crown. So, as I've said, Dian Masalanta is a third generation goddess. She is the daughter of Dumakulem, who is the guardian of the mountains, and Anagulay, who is the goddess of lost things. She has a brother named Apulaki, who is the god of war and the sun. She is the youngest of all the deities in the pantheon, and she is considered to be the kindest and the most loving of all the goddesses. That Bathala favored her so much that he gave her the job to watch over the mortals and to make peace with anyone causing any disputes or destructions to other mankind. So Dian Smith, so as Dian was doing her job, she was watching over the mortals. One man, one day, caught her attention. She fell deeply in love with this mortal that when the older gods and goddesses knew about this, they told Bathala right away. When Bathala learned about Dian's attraction to the mortal man, he banished her right away, as it was a rule that no one in the pantheon of Bathala was allowed to have any affairs with the mortals. So, as a punishment, she was banished and kept on the earth with the mortals. However, instead of being sad and disheartened about the punishment, she was actually very happy that she could be with the man she loved and the human race that she greatly adored as well. So after colonialism, when the Spaniards came into Philippines, converting Filipinos into Catholics, um, Dian is now referred to as Maria Makiling, and um, all of her influence, all of her whatever she was famous for, whatever she was prayed for before, was now um, dedicated to Saint Clare of Assisi. However, in small villages in the Philippines, they still continued to worship the Philippine gods, including Dian, by campfires and storytelling by elders to the younger generations. Other accounts of Dian Masalanta, as I've said, she is now known as Maria Makiling, a pre-colonial deity of Philippines, Luzon, Philippines. And as Maria Makiling, she is a guardian and protector of Mount Makiling, which is an inactive volcano in the Philippines, specifically in Laguna, Philippines. And an interesting thing about this mountain is that it is shaped like a sleeping woman or a pregnant woman. This is Mount Makiling. Other people would say that it looks like this. That's how they see it, like it's lying down. But other people see it as lying down on its side. But here's the real one. So Dian Masalanta as Maria Makiling, as I've said, she is a guardian of mountains, specifically Mount Makiling. She is she's said to go through the mountains after storms, fixing broken branches and trees, and repairing nests of animals damaged by the storm. She would walk through the mountains. When she walks through the mountains, the sun would shine, the birds sing, and the flowers would bloom. That's what Filipinos believed. Superstitions about her, there's a lot, but I'm just going to mention a few. So one of them is that men who goes into the forest on the mountain would never return. It is believed that Maria would lure them to her hut to be her husband, and it is believed to be her revenge for the man who broke her heart. This is in accordance to um, Diane's story, Diane's punishment. She was banished because she fell in love with a mortal man, and Filipinos believe that her heart was broken. So, as a revenge, she would, she would lure the man to her hut, and then they would live with her for the rest of their lives. They would never be seen anymore at all. So another superstition is that when you go to Mount Makiling, you can pick and eat the fruits, but you can never take it home because it will anger Maria Makiling or Dian Masalanta. Offenders would often lose their way, and it is believed that Maria would change their paths, putting large bushes and thorns so that they would think that no, this is not the right path, so they would go another path, then they would get lost. And the only way to make peace with her is for the offenders to reverse all of their clothings as proof that they are no longer carrying with them the fruits that they um, they took. So one influence of Dian Masalanta that is still celebrated in the Philippines. However, right now it is not dedicated to her anymore. It is dedicated to the saints, specifically Saint Clare. However, some Filipinos still believe that they are making this offering to Dian herself. So it is called the Obando Fertility Festival. It's in Obando, Bulacan in the Philippines. It's a 3-day festival in May 17 to 19 every year. So usually it is attended by couples looking to be blessed with a child or to strengthen their relationships or single people to find love. As I've said before, it was for the Anitos, but now it is dedicated to the saints. Um, People will be dancing and offering eggs because eggs is said to be representation of fertility. How it constitutes a myth. So we've talked about mothas, which is something sad, and this myth of Dian is there's no. It is fluid. It is often to It is open to speakers, to the retailers, the storytellers. There is no original writer or original writing about this myth. It is, I believe, it is a ritual myth because of for example, the Obando Fertility Festival that Filipino celebrates in name in the name of Dian. I also believe that it is a charter myth because it explains the Filipino custom of reversing our clothes when we feel lost in the forest, which is a little bit weird, but we Filipinos believe that it is true and it is because of Dian. Um, I also think that it is. We also talked about the myth being traditional and a collective and of collective importance. And this story is traditional. Uh, Through storytelling, it is passed down from one generation to the next. It is of collective importance, once again, because it is celebrated by many. For example, the Fertility Festival. Um, it has an anthropomorphic characterism in that Diane is shaped like a human being, a young human being, but has an exaggerated kindness, beauty, compassion, and a sense of sacrifice. Significance. I believe that there are three significance for this story. First of all is sacrifice. Diane sacrificed her godness, her being a god, so that she could be with the man she loved. It is a punishment though, but still it is a sacrifice that she made to be with that person. Second is that certain punishments are there for the sins or for the rules that you disobey, for the sins that you commit. Whenever you do something wrong, there is an equivalent punishment for it. Just like what we talked about with the Greek myths, for example, with Prometheus and others. The last one is parents' love. Um, I believe that Batala's punishment for Diane is not only a punishment, but it also, for me, I believe that he wants her to be happy and to be with the person that she loves. So she punished her in a way that they could still be together. And that's everything. Thank you.